Excellent. I have two wonderful daughters. And my youngest daughter is absolutely certain, and I'm so proud of her for this, that she will always get what she wants. And she has the expectation that she will always get what she wants. Sometimes that conflicts with her bedtime. And I struggle with that because I want certain things for her, and I would prefer sometimes to sit on the couch and thumb the remote, then try to get her in bed and get her to brush her teeth. How can I work with my young daughter to avoid the conflict again?
Well, fortunately, we're not working with your young daughter. We're working with you. And so we're asking ourselves the question, how can we help this child of ours accept the reality that his daughter is the creator of her reality and stop trying to create her reality for her? In other words, that's tricky, isn't it? Because she wants what she wants, and there are parents all over this room even thinking, well, Abraham, if we don't give them limitations, they will just go crazy, and if we don't set some standards, then won't they just drift into bad hygiene? And this is a really important opportunity to say again, get into the vortex and then have the conversation. Get into the vortex and then talk about the nighttime. Get into the vortex and then talk about brushing the teeth. Because from your place of annoyance, or from your place of being pulled away from something that you want to do, or from your place of seeing rebellion, you're not in the vortex and you're blaming your child for it, you see. It's interesting, isn't it? So, is the issue brushing teeth, or is the issue alignment with source? Is the issue going to bed at a specific time, or is the issue alignment with source? In other words, what is your commitment to? Is your commitment to your alignment with source? Here, we'll put it to you in an even clearer way. What do you most wish to pass on as a legacy from you to your child? How to be in the vortex or good teeth brushing?
The vortex is
seriously, because most parents sacrifice their vortex for the teeth, for the bedtime, for the toys, for the mess. In other words, you give up the only thing that matters and the only thing that you really want to teach them, and you step outside the vortex, and then you just teach them how to wrestle in the real world. And what they show you is that they're good at wrestling back, because they will defend their right to create their own reality first and foremost, you see. Where if you let being in the vortex be the thing that you most want to impart. So that's the example that you're setting. From only when they're in the vortex does their behavior really benefit them. Do you ever watch employees or children or anyone that you have set rules for? Do you ever watch the way they behave when you're not there? They go overboard to defy what you want in their quest to point out how free they are, because their vortex matters way more to them than your rule. Way more. So now, let's say that you had a hard day, and why not? Just people bickering all day long. So you come home, all you want, you really don't want any more human interaction. You want your remote control, you want to watch television, you want them to just be good. And they're not being good because you've got a rule and they don't want to keep it. And so you're outside the vortex and trying to exercise control from outside the vortex, where you have paltry, puny, tiny, insignificant influence, which just irks you because you're bigger. You would like to have control of something. You can't control those people that you work with all day. They're completely out of control. I ought to be able to control these two little girls. But you can't. Because it's not there for you to control, you see. And so anything you do from outside the vortex, it's like you just can't get there from there. In other words, you could get loud enough and you could get strong enough and you could lock them in. You could do what Super Nanny does. You could lock them in the room, bolt the door shut, take them to the naughty spot every time they're bad. You could exercise control and they will just get bigger and bigger and bigger until, like a horse, you break them. And when you break them, you've really broken them. In other words, when their will is suppressed and replaced with their determination to, in a disciplined way, just please you, you've trained them away from their guidance system. And they'll show up in one of our workshops in about 40 years. So go to the vortex and then have the conversation. Go to the vortex and then have the conversation. So next time you go home, just make a decision that you're going to be in the vortex before you have that conversation. And before you go into the house, envision them as the wonderful children that they are. Tune yourself to the sweetness and the fullness and the wholeness of them. Tune yourself to that feeling of wonder that you feel about them. Their source energy and physical bodies, they're so pure and sweet and fresh, and they're exploring contrast just like everybody, and they're expanding and they're wanting more and they're learning. When they're little babies and they fall down, you don't say, "Get up, you little dummy." You give them the opportunity to learn how to walk a little bit, and you want to give them the opportunity to learn about their gap, but you've got to know about yours first, and you've got to manage your gap before you can teach them how to manage their gap. Meanwhile, let them stay up as long as they want, because you're not making anything better by enforcing rules from outside the vortex.
Thank you so much.